here in going forward with the webinar here. Just give you an outline of what we're going to do. We're going to show you a few PowerPoints like you can see up on the screen there now, and then go into a feature demo of kind of different call flows and things, and end up with some settings. Some of you will have been using it for a while. Some of you have not seen it before, so we're going to kind of go over a general overview of all the features, but point out some of the recently added features for those that have been using it. So on the screen you can see a few of the main ideas are design goals as we started several years ago, seeing that there's a need for an attendant console and what we were designing for. And I'll go through those in a little more detail here in the next slide. So first of all, here you see modern look and feel. We wanted it to look like your Lync 2013 client, or also now Skype for Business client, so that training is very easy. If you're used to using the Lync client, it's very easy to move over. And we also did a lot of work around making the user interface very clean and intuitive. So you have context-based buttons that make it very easy to get to what you need when you need it without a whole lot of extra buttons cluttering up what you're doing there. So we wanted a modern look and feel, and that it would look and feel like what you're used to. Another very important thing is the fact that it's very simple to implement. In fact, on most systems, when you install it on most computers, it is in fact a 1 minute. That's not just a figure of speech. It is in fact a 1 minute install. And there's no servers needed. So you don't need to worry about putting a server in your environment and adding redundancy. If you have redundancy, that adds other servers. No servers at all. Works in or outside of the edge, hosted, on-prem, doesn't matter. If the Lync client works there, the Attendant Pro client will work there as well. Another thing that we wanted to keep in some of the early versions, especially like Microsoft 2010 Attendant Console, there was a limited amount of devices it worked with. So there were some devices that would work with the standard client that would not work with the attendant client. So the people that had the attendant client had to have, a different compatibility list. We have full compatibility with everything that is compatible with the Lync client. We're compatible with it as well. So there's no separate compatibility list that you got to keep in mind to figure out. Of course, the big thing was the efficiency. We wanted something that was very, very efficient and easy to use when people have high volume of calls and they need to do their work quickly. So I'll show you that more in detail in the demo of how efficient it is to use Attendant Pro, and that'll become very apparent. Next, full functionality. Some of the clients will give you a limited functionality set, so you don't have video, or you don't have screen share, or a group chat. And this, to the people that will be most likely your heaviest users of UC. They're on the phone all the time, they're doing things, and then they were limited in their functionality. We have no limitations. We don't take any features away from Lync or Skype for Business. We only add features, and there again, you'll see how that works as we go through the demo. So those are some of the things we kept in mind as we designed this. As you see on the screen, there is a picture, or that's a live program of Attendant Pro, and what we're going to be doing is showing you the demo of it as we go through. So first of all, I'm going to go around the screen here. This is me. This is my presence. I can change that here. And next to this is the note, standard Lync note. Here's some shortcut keys that we'll go over later. Here's an email button. You can call your email, and it'll show a number if you have unlistened to email voicemails. Voicemail button will show a number of unlistened to voicemails. And this is the options menu, which we'll go into later as well. Here's a search field that will allow you to either do outbound calls or transfers, and you can do searches by extension number, by phone number, by name, whatever you know about that contact. to search for it there. In the middle here is the groups, and those are the same groups that you'll see in the Lync or Skype for Business client. So if you look at these groups here, that is the same groups that I have in my console there. So they are direct linked. As you make changes in one, it makes changes in the others as well. And as you can notice, my Lync 2013 client is running at the same time, just on another screen here, as the Attendant Pro. So that's the groups that you have, contact groups. And along the bottom is some shortcut keys, which we'll explain a little bit more later how they work, how you can set those up. And of course the call windows here, incoming call, current call, and handled calls over here on the side. So first of all, I'm going to bring a call in and show you how the Lync client does a transfer. And then I'm going to come back and do that same transfer in Attendant Pro. So I'm going to bring that over. I'm going to answer this call and get Attendant Pro out of the way. And so here is my call window in Lync. And if I want to transfer it, I hover over, I click transfer, I come down here and I have to scroll a little bit in this case to get to another person or number, and then say I want to transfer it to Japheth. Node, I start typing, it comes up, and then I can transfer, or I can drop down and go to voicemail. So complex scenarios, difficult for a high volume person to use. So now I'm going to do that same scenario with Attendant Pro, and you'll see the same call coming in, and as soon as it calls, it's going to pop up in front of me. I can use my hotkey or my mouse to answer it. Once I answer it, I can come over here and with one click, all those steps I just told you to get it directly to voicemail, one click, and it's gone to the Japheth's voicemail there. So very, very efficient. And I'm going to go back through now and bring a call in and show you what's happening, different scenarios and stuff like that. But I wanted to point out the way we did it just as efficiently as possible. So as you can see here, incoming call, you can see 8 of them at one time, and then it would go to a scroll bar, so it goes beyond that. But if you have more than 8 incoming calls at one time, you need to get somebody to help you out. But anyway, incoming call, you can answer it or refuse it there. With the current call, obviously only one call can be in your current call window. What can you do with it as a current call? So first of all, you can put it on hold. Basic functionality. If there's a picture associated with that contact, it'll show up here. It still gives a name or number, caller ID here. Gives a holding timer, so you can see, and again here you can see 8 visible at one time, and then goes to a scroll bar, and you can see how long somebody has been on hold, and easily see who you should be grabbing first there again. So basic hold. Park, for those that don't use park, the difference between park and hold only you can pull it back. Park, it gives you a parking spot or a parking number, so in this case it's 821, and then that's used to page it out and say somebody from sales pick up on 821, or you can instant message that, or email, or holler across the divider, whatever your office looks like there. So with park, anyone can pull it off a park using that code. One of the things we have done to enhance that, or to make park even more useful, and I notice I have it set for 30 seconds, so it rings back in as, lets me know that, hey, I did not take care of that parked call. But one of the things we do that allows you to use park more efficiently is this park for user or park for group. So I'm going to park for user and come over here and bug Japheth again. I double clicked on Japheth on his contact there, and it sends him an instant message automatically with a clickable link that he can click on that and answer the call. So very easy to get that to him, and he is not picking it up, so I can pull it back and do something else with it. If I would right click and do for a park for a group and send it to any one of these groups here, everyone in the group would get that park instant message, and it would whoever picks it up first would get that call then. So whoever clicks on that link first. So it makes it much easier to use Park, much more efficient to use Park. And by the way, that is one of the new features that recently came out. So that's something that a lot of you probably have not seen yet. So that's the Park option, hold and park. And now we're going to go into what are the transfer modes or transfer options. So I'm going to bring another call in here, answer that. Blind transfer, and the reason that is grayed out automatically, I'm going to skip ahead to one setting here ahead of time, but transfer mode on answer is set to blind transfer. You can set to that to whatever you most commonly use, but it's set to blind transfer in my case. So that means when I answer a call, it's going to be in blind transfer mode. So one click sends it off as a blind transfer. What blind transfer does is sends that off, and if they don't pick up, it goes to voicemail, or it just sends it off. You don't talk to anybody about it. You just send it off to that person, and you can do pretty good with that based on their presence. You see who's available and who isn't. And one click allows you to go to the different destinations, which we'll get to later. Blind transfer sends it off. The next transfer type is safe transfer, which that will send it to their main extension, but it will not go to voicemail. Instead of going to voicemail, if they don't pick it up, it will come back to you on hold down in this box down here, and you'll be able to pick it back up and say, okay, I see he did not pick up. I'll transfer you to somebody else. So that's a little bit higher touch, a little bit more care to make sure that somebody doesn't go to voicemail. A step more higher service, or whatever you want to call it, taking care of it, is the consult transfer. Some people call that warm or polite transfer. But with consult transfer, if I call this other person, it puts the caller on hold. I call that other person, and when they say yes, they can take the call, I click consult transfer again, and it completes the call. So I talk to the person. They want to talk to Japheth. I call Japheth and say, do you want to take the call? He says yes, and I click consult transfer to finish that call as well. So that's the consult transfer or polite transfer in some areas. The last transfer type here is invite a new user to a call. So what that does is starts a conference, and once you've passed the information on, say, hey, we were talking about this, take it from here, then you drop out of that conference, they continue to talk, and you can go on to your next call or whatever. So that creates a conference and then allows you to drop out. This little thing here, this little note field, works with Exchange 2013 web services, and I can keep notes on anybody. And this is one of the newer releases that this came out in. I can take notes there, and you name it. This is a very important person. Make sure he gets taken care of. Make sure he doesn't go to voicemail. Or this is a nuisance call. Send it to voicemail. Or remember to tell him this the next time. Whatever you want to remember about that person, the next time they call in, that note will be there for you to, at a glance, say, oh yeah, that's right, I wanted to tell him this. So, and of course you have more on this window is the mute and hang up buttons there. So that's the basic current call window. I want to point a new feature out here. This is in the latest release, so a lot of you haven't seen this yet. Is the more option down here now allows you to pick your transfer type while it's on hold and transfer directly from hold. So while this thing is on hold, I can send that off to his voicemail or to any other destination there. So if I was not sure what's going to happen, I put it on hold and I figure out what I'm going to do with it, and then I transfer directly from hold without having to pull that person back and talking to them. So just one more way that we make it a little more efficient. Just less clicks, less action there. The more we can do that, the better. So, and one other thing that is new on this release with the more options here, so not only can you do all the different transfer options directly from hold, you can also transfer to a current call. So if I have a current call in my current call window and I pick to transfer to that, it connects that current call with the caller on hold. Or if I want to do a merge call, I can merge it with that current call, and that allows all three of us to be in that conference where the person that was on hold, the person in my current call window, and myself are all talking in a conference, and then I can drop out and they can continue. So two additional features that allow you to quickly join people. If after the fact you decide you're going to do something different than you expected with that call, you can transfer that call to the current call or merge that call with the current call. Those are both new features in this release. So I have a call in here, and what can I do with it? So I'm going to go over here to the contact cards, and this is, like I said, the different groups, and you can move contacts around between the groups, add and delete from here or from your Lync client. But what can you do with the contacts? First of all, I'm going to note the different sizes. So a small contact here gives you a few less options visible, but one thing to note, every contact size, no matter what you pick, there's a right-click menu that gives you all the options. So even if you don't do something typically, but you need to occasionally, you can get there with a right-click option. So that's a small in case you need to see a whole bunch of contacts at one time. There is also large, and this is especially good for touch screen. It's more touch friendly and gives you a few less options than the medium, but it gives you much larger icons to use with touchscreen. And there's also some custom contacts. So with custom contacts, we can do anything. We can make them huge, we can make them small, what icons you want, what font size you want, all kinds of stuff. This is a rather ugly rendition of a custom contact, but it shows you the options that it's very flexible with what you do in those custom contacts. And I'll explain how those get set up a little bit more later. So what I typically do, since I typically use the mouse, at least to complete transfers, is use this medium contact style. So what can I do with this call? I can, by double clicking or clicking here, send it off to Japheth, in this case, just send it off to their extension. It goes based on whatever transfer mode I have selected. So typical transfer option there. Transfer directly to voicemail. We make that with a one-click option so that you can send it straight to voicemail. If you know they're not available, no use you have that extra ringing and noise, or if you know they're in a meeting or something, straight to voicemail. Also, you can do straight to mobile. If you have somebody that is a road warrior and once their call is transferred to them on their mobile, you can do that with one click. So it's not any additional hassle for you to be able to get there. Notice that this demo user here doesn't have a voicemail and does not have a mobile in the system, so that icon does not show up. So it will only show the options that you have available. So it makes it very easy for you to know what you can do with this call. So that's the basic call flow, and here is just a very simple starts an instant message with that person. So nothing significant there. Just a basic starting an instant message. And now we take this further than your Lync environment, and we move into Outlook and Exchange. So we want to bring that one-click efficiency even further into other jobs that you're likely to do as an attendant, a receptionist, or an admin type of person. What else are you going to do? So one thing, very likely, you're going to be sending a lot of emails to people within the company. For whatever reason, very easy, one click pops those up. And if you ever get that annoying person that calls in and they say they want to talk to Japheth, I'd glance at it and say he's inactive. I say, I'll send you the voicemail. He's not available right now. And they say, no, don't send me the voicemail. I don't want to leave a message. Just tell him to call me back. Well, let's assume I'm a busy receptionist and I have another call coming in and I have to get rid of this call, bring the next one in, and I don't have time to do write a note, holler across the office, send an email, whatever. Makes it very difficult. You have to remember that for after the next call. This solves that problem. So the next time somebody says, no, just tell him to call me back, one click brings up a message addressed to that person, says this person called in on this number, they called at this time, and all of this is customizable to say what you wanted to, and of course you can add to that if you want to. So the next time the caller says, no, just tell him to call me back, you can go click, send, and you can assure that caller before you hang up that message was just sent. He'll get back to you when he gets a chance. You don't have to remember it, the caller knows it was taken care of, and you can move on without taking any additional time. It makes that annoying request very easily fulfilled and efficient, just with that one-click access to the email. And also we bring up one-click access to somebody's calendar. So if you have to look at somebody's calendar, you can see that as well. And by the way, I believe one of these I do not have access to. Yeah, so this here I do not have rights in exchange to see, so it just doesn't let me see that. So that's some of the things that you can do with a call as it relates to the contact card. And notice these few buttons on here. In this case, I have 6 of them, 3 calls and actually 4 other options. Gives me a huge amount of options when combined with the different transfer types and what all you can do with that. Very simple, easy interface to allow all kinds of different call flows. So that's the basic call flows, and remember on this you have additional options, all the options available in a right-click menu. That's the basic call flow scenarios, and that covers the majority, or as far as we know, every possible scenario is covered with the options we have available there. So now moving on a little bit into settings, and once I'm going to move into this these one-click shortcuts here at the top. So what are these things here? With that, we're trying to make every commonly repeated task one click or one shortcut key away. So I'll show you a few ideas that we have already that we have built into this, but we welcome feedback on what else you do as a common task that you repeat daily or multiple times a day, and how we can make that one click away or one keyboard shortcut away. So a few ideas we have. If you want to start another program, here I can start a command prompt, or that PowerPoint I started with, I can with one click bring that up ready to show. So it extends it beyond your standard call flow stuff and allows you to open other programs, open a website, whatever you typically do in a call or in your day-to-day work, we make that one click away. Some other ideas: view your missed conversations, turn forwarding on or off to a certain number, join a conference call with DTMF. So here we're dialing a conference number that we frequently dial, and we have a certain conference code that we have to press every time. So here with one click, it'll dial that number, wait the programmed amount of time, dial the conference ID or conference pin, and get us right in there very easily. So it gives a very easy way to do that. Here we have a thing that, if you watch my presence up here in the corner, as soon as I click on this away, it immediately changes it, and if I reset, it goes back to in a meeting. Whatever, a scenario where that might be very important is if you have a response group that routes calls based on presence, and you want to step away from your desk, but you want to make sure that as soon as you step away, it notes you as away rather than a minute or two later, so you don't miss any of those calls. So one button press could be set up for F1, and it immediately changes you to away. And when you come back, F2 immediately brings you back, or whatever you set that as. So that, and any other scenario where you see presence is valuable to be able to change that. So another thing that this allows, these one-click things, is allows ways to do quick and easy calls to a certain group of people that you do a lot of calls to or transfers to. So in this case, Japheth is Shift F4, so I'm going to press Shift F4 instead of clicking on it this time, and that immediately called him. But not only does it do an outbound call, that same motion, because of our context-based intelligence behind it, now I'm going to bring a call in, and I press F6 to pick it up, and now again I'm going to press Shift F4, and it immediately transfers to Japheth. So there, with a quick button press or a quick click, I can make a call or a transfer very easily. So if you have a person that you transfer or you to and call a lot, a call flow could be F6 to answer, F7 to transfer to John, F6 to answer, F7 to transfer to John, and make some of those very common things extremely easy and extremely fast to work with. So that's a few ideas that we already have built in there. There's more, but use your imagination of what can be used for that. So I am going to jump into settings, and I'm going to start with how to set up these shortcuts since I'm talking about that. We'll come back to all these other settings as we go through. But first of all, I want to add a shortcut. And as you can see, we have all different kinds of templates in here that you can do. So I'm going to add one more to change my presence to available. So I'm going to pick that change presence shortcut. I'm going to add that, and then that adds that to the ender. I can call it whatever I want to. I'm going to call it green, and I'm going to, I can pick what it does here, but I'm going to leave it to available. And now that shortcut is up here, and if you'll notice my presence over here, when I click on that, it goes to green, and so it marks me as available. And I can set a shortcut. I did not set a shortcut key up to it, but you can do that, so that one button changes that. So not only is it very easy to use and very efficient with one click or one button press to use, it is also very easy to set additional shortcuts up for you. So more on settings. One more thing before I get to settings, I'm going to change a few things and show you a call information panel. So I am going to show you this here, this area up in here. This is a caller information panel, and here comes a call. And notice as soon as that call rings in, what's going to happen up in the caller information window here, that pops up, and I can actually hang that up. It'll stay there. This is pulling from my Dynamics GP database. So that is our accounting system. It is saying this guy is late on a payment. It is giving me address, service history, one-click access to my customer maintenance window. So clicked on that and it pops up down here. One-click access to a map, one-click access to my service history. So now we're extending one-click not only outside of Lync and into Exchange, but into whatever other systems you have, whether it's CRM, Salesforce, any of the Dynamics products, any SQL-based things, just about any program that you have, we can join up with that and give you that one-click access or a glance view of what you need to know when that call comes in. So it gives you more power, the information when you need it, where you need it. And in a little bit, I'll show how that gets set up. So in the meantime, here's some settings. So we talked about the contact sizes already. This here is our groups, and I can pick which group it starts up in. We talked about this transfer mode on answer. I can set that to whatever. And that is just what it will default to. So as soon as I pick up a call, it's going to be in blind transfer mode. It does not in any way limit me from using the other transfer modes. It just saves me one click. Anytime we can make you a little more efficient, we do that. So that saves you one click. Of course, we have, I think it's 15 some languages in there, and we can always add more as needed. How is it going to contact double click action? So what is that going to call? If I double click anywhere on this contact to transfer a call to them, what's it going to do? And that works also for Ender if I'm searching over in here. So Smart is going to use the Lync contact or the Lync extension if it can, or if there's no Lync but there's a work number, it'll use that. Smart is very likely what you're going to use. Most people will leave it on that. But if you say, you know what, today I'm sick of it, I'm just sending everybody to voicemail, you can set it that the double click does that. So however you want to work there, it gives you a consistent, predictable way that it's going to act the same every time. And Smart is what most people will leave it at. Focus on incoming call. That allows if you're typing away in your email or something else and a call comes in, that will pop up in front of you. The Attendant Pro will pop up. Now, some people, especially I often use F6 to answer, is what I have the hotkey set to. And so I don't necessarily need it to pop up. I can continue to type. I press F6 and I start talking to that caller while I finish up some other task. So some people like it to pop up, some people don't like it to pop up, so we make that an option for you to pick your option there. Enable button click. That just gives a sound when you click on stuff in Attendant Pro if you like that enabled. Enable Skype for Business. So one of the things that we get questioned on a lot is, are we ready for Skype for Business? And yes, we are. We're compatible, and we also have the Skype for Business UI. So I'm going to bring a call in just to show you a little bit more how that looks. So definitely design elements from Skype for Business. If I go to large contacts here, you see the round profile picture. So it gives the Skype for Business look and feel if you want that. And it is interesting to note that either interface will work with either Lync or Skype for Business client. So you aren't forced into one or the other, but it gives you the option to pick the one that you like the best. So search box sends DTMF. So DTMF is those codes that if it says press 1 for this, press 2 for that, you need to send those DTMF tones. And in the search box, when you're in a call, is it going to send DTMF or not when you use your keyboard? So if I type John in some phone systems, Lync will automatically translate that to the DTMF codes for that. And that setting allows you to determine whether that's going to work like that or not. If you're in transfer mode, this will always be searching no matter which way you have that set. If you're not in transfer mode, you can set that to send the tones versus searching. So that's what that box is about. Different people like it different. So if I press hold on this next setting, hold on begin transfer, some people like to stay live with that call and continue to talk to them while they hit transfer. Sorry, not when I click hold. When I click transfer, should it stay live while I find out who I'm going to transfer that to? You can set it either way. Either you click transfer, it'll immediately go on hold, or when you click transfer, it will enter that transfer mode, but will not go on hold, so you can continue to talk. Different people like it different. When I press hold, will it clear the transfer mode, or will it stay in that transfer mode? Now that we can transfer from on hold, do you want it to stay in transfer mode, or do you want it to clear that mode so you can go make other calls instead? So that, again, some people like it one way, some people like it the other way. We give that option. One new feature that I did not point out in the feature demo is the call as feature, or delegate. So some people want to call out as another person or as an anonymous response group, for instance, or something like that. In Lync, it's a little bit cumbersome. Each call you have to go into a drop-down menu and pick call as, and you do the next call as. Here we make it very easily accessible right here with one drop-down. One click on that sets it so that I'm calling as Lync user 03 in this case. And this setting determines whether it will revert after one call. So every time I set it like that, after one call, it'll go back to calling as myself, or let that unchecked and it will stay as Lync user 03 in this case until I manually change it. So if you're doing a number of calls or always call as somebody else, that's a very important setting. So you don't have to always be doing that with each call. So we make it very easy to work with delegates and make that call as persistent. These next four are just cleaning up the window. So there's different things I can do on this window. I already showed you the caller information panel. There's also a keypad here that you can turn on or off. And down below here, there's a contact information window. And one of the things that is also new in this version, in this latest release, is these sliders that allow me to adjust the screen the way I want to see it. So that's a new option there. I just thought I'd point that out as I'm using them. So you can put caller information panel down there, and that just gives you information on the person you have selected, not contact details, contact information on the contact you have selected. And there's also something we do to give you a little bit of insight into response groups. So if I turn this RGS agent groups window on, I can see that I am part of 3 response groups. 2 of them are green. I'm signed into those. 1 of them is red, so I'm not signed into that. That's a formal response group that I can sign in and out of. The numbers there are all at 0 at this point, but it shows on each one the number of calls in that queue and what the longest wait time. So let's imagine that this middle one here that I'm signed out of has 5 calls in, and I see somebody's been waiting for 8 minutes, and that's not acceptable. So I'm going to come over here and just right here within the program, OneClick brings up that Lync interface to sign in there. So I can come here, I can sign into that response group, and you'll see in a few seconds that this will change to signed in. There, now I'm signed in, and now I'll start taking calls. And so that gives me a little bit of insight into response groups if I'm using them. And that is actually one that I do want to stay signed out of. So I'm going to come back in here and sign out of that. And so it makes it very easy for end users to be able to make a quick decision on if they should be signed in or out of that response group. While we're on response group, there's one other feature that we add to or make response groups easier to work with. One of the known Lync problems, if you want to call it that, or bugs, is that when you're in a response group, when you answer a call, sometimes there can be a delay, sometimes multi-second delay until the audio is established. We can't change that on the client side. We wish we could, but we can make it very easy to work with. So when you're in a response group or anytime you answer a call, it will not come into the current call window until audio is established. So when you answer a call, you might see a second or two before it comes into the current call window. That is designed to show you exactly when you can start talking. So we cannot fix that delay for Microsoft, but we can make it very easy to work with, a very obvious cue. Now you can start talking, so there's no mistake of starting to talk before the audio is live. So that's one more thing we do with response groups. Let me bring that settings window up again. One more very important setting in this window is that suppress active call. So the active call window in Lync is that call window that pops up when you answer a call. We recommend that you suppress that here because if it does pop up, it can get confusing to some users because now they have 2 windows on their screen, and so that keeps that out of the way, limits the confusion. Suppress call toast is that little toast that pops up, the call toast is that little box that pops up above the window, the clock area, bottom corner of your screen there. That can also be suppressed, although you can answer it in that and still do the call flow in Attendant Pro. So I typically leave that on. Shortcut keys. Here is a list of all the shortcut options, all the transfers, all the different options you have, and you can change those to whatever you want, whatever you're used to, whatever you like it to be. And on each one you can pick whether it's global or local. So I have F6 set as answer and I have it global, so if I am off typing in my email and I press F6, it's going to answer. However, I have F11 as park, not global, so to park I have to be in Attendant Pro. I have to have Attendant Pro in focus for that to work. That is so if you have a conflict with another line of business app that is using F11, you can control how that works. So they're totally configurable, and global or local is selectable there as well. Select dial is one of the options here, and what that is anywhere you see a phone number, you can highlight it, press F2 in this case, and it will bring Attendant Pro to the foreground and type that number in here so that you can just by pressing enter make that call. So it makes outbound calling a little bit faster and easier. That callback reminder I showed you earlier, this is where you can customize that. So you can put any kind of text in there and then say I want to have the contact name, and then I want some more text, and I want the call time. And so you can do those placeholders. This can obviously be any language, any text that you want in there. Very, very configurable for that feature. Talked about custom contact layouts. You can do all kinds of things. That is not an end user thing. That is a programmer thing using XAML code. Here's a sample of how that looks. So that is something that we can do for you, or somebody that you have on staff that does XAML programming can look at this and say, I want a huge or a small or whatever kind of contact fits you best, or different information that you can add to that or take away from that. So very flexible on the custom contacts. This is where we configure that caller information window that I showed you. So in this case, what we're doing is looking up a SQL report and passing this the phone number, the caller ID, into these brackets. So what that allows it to do is go say, this is a SQL report, look it up on this phone number and return the information I want. Another example that I often use is white pages. You do whitepages.com/phone number placeholder here, and it'll replace the phone number in there and go out to white pages and look up that phone number. So that is how simple it is to connect it with these different programs. It's just executing a URL. Here's where you turn those ad hoc notes on the caller window for the caller there. This is where you turn that on and off and enable Exchange Web Services. And we already talked about the shortcut keys and how easy it is to set those up. So that is a quick overview. If anybody wants to have a full demo, a personal demo tailored to your scenario, get in contact with me at sales@landiscomputer.com and we can set that up. Our goal is to make receptionists and attendants and admins as fast and as efficient as possible